Welcome to round 8, 9, and 10 of the Diamond Ridges hat. If you need to go back and see the previous rounds, I've got videos for those on my page. So we're going to get started on round 8, 9, and 10. I'm doing all 3 of these rounds at once because they're all the same. The only difference is the beginning. So I'm going to kind of show you how to kind of see how the beginning. So I already kind of started round 8 here, and what makes this round different from round 7 is we get more consistent in our patterning, and the whole rest of the hat will go way faster now that we've gotten the crown, and then now it's just going to be curving down to create those really beautiful sides. So the way the pattern goes is you have, if you look at the top here, you'll have a cluster stitch, then you'll have 3 stitches, the top of the cluster stitch, 3 stitches, top of the cluster stitch, and 3 stitches. And those 3 stitches are going to be a double crochet, a decrease double crochet, and a double crochet, and it goes like that all the way through. So your double crochets are going to be the one behind the cluster you've just made, the one at the top of the cluster from the previous row, and the one after it. That will be a decrease. I hope you can see it here. So you can see this is our peak and this is our decrease. Right, so there's only 1 stitch at the top, but when you pull it apart, there's 2 posts here, and then followed by another regular double crochet. And those are the 3 stitches, and it's exactly the same all the way around for rows 8, 9, and 10. The only difference is the beginning. So I'm going to rip this out, and we'll be right back. Alright, so we're ripped back to the beginning of round 8, and the only difference between 8, 9, and 10 is where you end up joining at the end. So in row 8, you end up on top of this peak, and in round 9, you're going to be ending up 1 stitch over, and in row 10, you're going to be starting 1 back, and you'll be making a decrease. So it's all about starting, and once you realize that when you read the pattern, it'll become very easy. So, and you'll realize, that it's not a new pattern, it's all the same. So we're going to start with a DC in the next DC, right? And that gets us to the point where we know we're going to be making a cluster. So if you don't know how to make these clusters yet, and you totally skip forward through all the videos, I would suggest you go back. And then it's a DC. So we're going to be wanting 3 stitches, right? And then the so that would be our first stitch. Remember I said that there would be a cluster stitch and then 3 double crochet stitches and then a cluster stitch, and that repeats over and over again. So this is the top of our cluster stitch, our first DC stitch, followed by a decrease, followed by a double crochet. And that gives us our top of our cluster stitch, our 3 stitches, and then a cluster stitch. So it kind of makes the pattern a little bit easier to follow when you kind of realize what you're going to be doing, and then you don't end up having to read the pattern over and over and over and over again all the way through, making 2-hour hat really a 5-day hat. So our first double crochet after the cluster, followed by a decrease, double crochet decrease, so we have our 3 stitches that we need in between our cluster stitches. And you can see how everything's getting much more uniform. We don't have those increases and you know, every other one, or it's just becoming very much the same stitches over and over again, because we're not getting wider anymore. We're just going to start going flat. So this will start coming down, and then you can just see how beautiful that's starting to look with those boxes. It's just very, very nice. So double crochet, then decrease, and then double crochet. So that still, oh, there it goes. Alright, so there's my decrease and my double crochet. There we go. This cluster stitch, 3 stitches, and then a cluster stitch. And that's like that over and over and over again, all the way around. And you'll just start speeding through it. And if you don't, just, you know, drop me a note and I can break it down slower for you if you need to. But I think once you understand why you're doing what you're doing, it all becomes very kind of self-explanatory here. There we go. So that's all I'm going to show you. We're going to make this video nice and short. And it's like that for 8, 9, and 10. Just read your pattern. And it's all where it's starting is how you're going to be doing it. But every row is going to be doing this exact same thing. So if you start here in the middle, you're going to know that, you know, you're going to be doing your cluster right away. If you end your row and you're here, you know you're going to be doing a decrease, you know, and then a cluster. And so it's just, you're just continuing this pattern so you can kind of see, you know, what's going on. So thanks again for watching, and we'll see you later.